As a community, as a people, we struggle to absorb the weight of this tragedy, the needless death of Justine Damond. Hard day, you guys. The needless death. And let us remember we are together in our grief, here and around the country and around the world. And we all want answers. We all want to see justice done. And to that end, I asked the BCA to share as much information as they could, as soon as they could, and I appreciate that the BCA has done that. And we don't yet have all the answers. So for me to characterize it as needless is actually inaccurate because we don't have all the answers. But the tragic death of Justine Damond today. But the information the BCA has shared this evening gets us closer to having answers, closer to seeing justice done. And we do have more information now, though it's frustrating to have some of the picture, but not all of it. We cannot compel Officer Noor to make a statement. I wish we could. I wish that he would make a statement, is what I want to say. We can't compel him by law, but I wish that he would make that statement. There are big questions left that we still have and that we hope to have answered soon. Why did Officer Noor draw and fire his gun? What happened from the time the officers arrived on the scene to when she was pronounced dead? Why don't we have footage from body cameras? Why were they not activated? We all want answers to those questions. First, I will say that there is someone who may have some information. The BCA says that there was someone, 18 to 25-year-old male on a bicycle who was there, who may have some information. And I would implore this person to come forward. The phone number is 651-793-7000. Even if you think what you have to say isn't important, trust me, the BCA is interested in talking to you about anything that you saw that night. And tonight I also want to make sure that folks are clear that this is an independent investigation being conducted by the BCA. The BCA is not a city agency. It is an agency of the state of Minnesota. They have been the lead from the start. It's been part of our policy dating back to 2014 that the MPD not investigate itself in critical incident cases involving MPD officers. It's a good policy, but there's a trade-off. Minneapolis does not control the information BCA does. That's the nature of an independent investigation, and we need to make sure we maintain that independence and the integrity of that process, the integrity of the investigation. And that said, we've been pressing for as much information as quickly as possible, and we appreciate that the BCA has released the information that they have given tonight. After I'm done, Assistant Chief Arredondo is going to talk us through the investigatory process, the full chain of it, and talk some about our body camera policy. I share the frustration and the dismay that we don't have body camera footage here. I will say that body cameras are a very powerful tool, not an infallible tool, but a powerful one that have proven valuable already in our investigations. But also we have been and we will work to make sure that we have the strongest policies possible. And Assistant Chief Arredondo will address that. I've also learned clearly that it's important to keep people in the loop as to what I've been doing and what my team has been doing over the last few days. I've spoken with Justine's fiance, and I'm doing my best to be of service to him and the family. I've been in contact with neighbors on the block, including the block club leader. I've been communicating often on social media and to my mailing list, trying to get word out about everything we know and the things that are happening. I've been talking to media here in Minneapolis, the national media, and Australia. I've maintained consistent communication with the City Council to make sure they're able to share the most recent and most accurate information with their constituents. I'm continuing to reach out to a number of stakeholders, neighborhood leaders, community advocates, and others, hearing their questions and concerns and sharing information with them as well. I've also been talking to Somali leaders in our community to hear their questions and their concerns. And we're in contact with our state and federal legislators in addition to our ongoing communication with Governor Dayton's office. Also, very important is the work we're doing internally as a city. The communication that I have and that we have among city leaders, Assistant Chief Arredondo, City Coordinator Spencer Kroc, City Attorney Susan Siegel, all, our Civil Rights Department, making sure that we are all in communication with one another moving forward. That is important, and it's important for folks to know. That said, there are still answers that we wish we had. We will continue to seek them as long as we need to. I appreciate the information that we do have, and I will turn it over to Assistant Chief Arredondo.
Good evening. I am Assistant Chief Madera Arredondo of the Minneapolis Police Department. I first want to acknowledge the very tragic incident that has us all here tonight. I also want to say up front that we are aware of the information the BCA has released and cannot comment at all on what they have recently shared pending the ongoing investigation. What I can do is update you on what the MPD is doing right now. We have opened up an internal affairs use of force review, which is standard anytime an officer discharges his or her weapon. The chief has asked that it be expedited so that she can take appropriate action swiftly. Our goal is not speed, but we do recognize the public's desire and right to know as much as possible, as soon as possible. At this point, much of the data needed for the MPD force review is currently right now in the hands of the BCA. The use of body-worn cameras is a part of this force review, and as a related policy matter, there is nothing I can say about that particular incident at this time. I have also been informed by the Civil Rights Department that the Office of Police Conduct Review, the city's Civilian Oversight Division, currently has an inquiry on this incident. However, the OPCR cannot move forward opening a case until the BCA completes their investigation. I realize there has been a lot of discussion about our body camera program in general, not related to the officer-involved shooting. The Minneapolis Police Department is 8 months out from our full department-wide rollout of body cameras. The chief recently created a position and appointed a quality assurance commander who will be completing a full review of our program soon, focused on how often our officers activate their body-worn cameras. By the end of next month, mandated supervisor training will be completed throughout the entire MPD. Our frontline supervisors have been tasked with ensuring officers increase the activation of their body cameras. I also want to take a moment to talk about our body camera worn policy. And now, while I cannot talk directly about the officer-involved shooting incident, I can tell you we began looking at areas to strengthen our policy several months ago. On background, we produced a policy using national best practice standards and following community input. We also needed to look at accountability, transparency, and privacy concerns that were also raised during several community input meetings. We also needed to look at how our body cameras would affect evidence collection and casework. And like any policy within the MPD, the body-worn camera policy is subject to change. Soon, Chief Harteau will be releasing an updated policy with changes regarding officer requirements. I'd like to conclude by saying, I realize and acknowledge there are many questions that are still left unanswered. We immediately asked for an independent investigation into this incident, and we must wait until it is complete. I do appreciate everyone's patience, but I also recognize the frustration surrounding the lack of information up to this point. I simply cannot say much more right now while the BCA continues their investigation. Thank you.
I'm 13th Ward City Council Member Lene Palmisano. Over the last 48 hours, I've been working around the clock to get more information to the public regarding the death of our neighbor, Justine. I have heard, and I so deeply share your frustrations. I have heard your pleas for more information I share these sentiments and am doing everything I can to make this happen. I will warn you that what the city can share at this point is underwhelming. Due to the investigation by the BCA, there are only limited documents that the city has ownership of and can release. But I promise you that we will release everything in our ability, and I have been pushing to do so. To that end, we will be posting all of these documents on the city's police website and will continue to make these available online. Additionally, over the past 2 days, I've been talking with neighbors, Justine's family, her friends, and members of her faith community. I have heard over and over how beloved she was and will be missed. This great loss is felt by many. I have also been speaking with outside public officials and city departments to move things along in every way that I can. I have spoken with Don, Justine's fiance, to express my deep sorrow for his loss and to hear what he needs from our city and our community. I've been sharing these requests with appropriate agencies as I am able. With the help of Don and the Lake Harriet Spiritual Community, I have also helped to facilitate the transfer of the community-led memorial from the place she died to a place that she lived and brought joy to so many. It is my hope that the community will be able to honor Justine there, and they have been invited by the Lake Harriet Spiritual Community to do so. I am also in ongoing contact with the neighbors on the affected block on Washburn Avenue South. The initial incident and ongoing attention paid to their neighborhood has both short-term and long-term impacts on their lives, and my heart goes out to them. They will need our support as they start to heal from this trauma. Finally, my office has begun to look at the policy improvements that we can make in response to this tragedy. This includes proposing updates to new body camera policies, working with the Police Conduct Oversight Commission on a review of body camera compliance, and using my authority as chair of our audit committee for the city to task our audit department with evaluating how body cameras are being used. We are also having lots of discussion about how we can start to make some bigger changes on policing in this city. I know many of you are feeling unsettled and unsure right now given the events of recent days. I completely understand that, and I know it will take us all some time to deal with this tragedy. My hope is we can work together on these tough challenges and have these hard conversations and do the work of beginning to make these important changes as a city together. Thank you.
At this point, we're going to